Hi there. A few days ago, a friend and I were having a conversation talking about which form of Christianity is worse. Seeing that I'm a former Catholic and she is a former Baptist, we were talking about which one brought more evil into this world. Now, we reached the conclusion, we both did, that regardless of the kind of Christianity, it is all evil. All religion is evil in one sense or another. But we were discussing about which one is more evil. And I told her that I thought that the different smaller versions of Christianity that have been emerging, especially in the United States, after the Reformation, the reform of the Church, they're a lot more evil than the Catholic Church. Now, why do I base my conclusions on this? Why do I think this? Well, first of all, I agree with Nietzsche, and I'm about to read a chapter from his book, The Antichrist. But before I do that, let me tell you that even though I believe that Catholics have a lot of shortcomings and they are a very evil religion, they are still congregated in a center. They are it's like one big head, and it's easier to extinguish or destroy one head. Think of it as a dragon. When you have a dragon of one head, you just have to destroy that head and you're done with it. Now, what happened after the reform, after Mr. Luther decided to reform the church and create the Anglican Church, and let me tell you that I think that the Anglican Church is very similar to the Catholic Church in the sense that it's like one big group. But all the little ones that have been emerging in the United States, especially the Baptists and all the different denominations, the evangelicals, the Pentecostals, I mean, I can tell you thousands of these different churches that have been emerging. They have been created as businesses. And now they're all different heads. It's like a dragon that now has thousands of different heads. So it doesn't matter if you kill one, there will be another one emerging somewhere else. And that's why I think that the little sects of Christianity that have been emerging after the Anglican Church, because it was Catholic Church, then the Anglican Church with Henry VIII and all that, and then the different sects that have been growing in the United States, they are a lot more evil than the Catholic Church. It's a lot harder to fight them, because it doesn't matter how much you destroy Christianity, there's still one certain group of people that will tell you, oh, but that's another type of Christianity, or those aren't really Christians. We are real Christians, because we decided to take this away from our religion, and we decided not to take a look at this in the Bible, and, you know, they make the religion their own personal thing. I mean, they can create Christianity and just arrange it according to what they want. Maybe they don't want to go to church on Sundays. They want to go to church on Saturdays because they find it easier, and they modify that as they see fit. So that's why I believe that all the little Christianity groups that have been forming are way more evil than the Catholic Church. Now, let me read to you this. This is The Antichrist, Friedrich Nietzsche. And I will be reading, it's pretty much the ending of it, section 61, and if I have time, I will also read section 62, and see if you also agree with Friedrich Nietzsche in the fact that the reform of the church was possibly the worst thing that could happen to the world. The Antichrist by Friedrich Nietzsche, section 61. Here, it becomes necessary to call up a memory that must be 100 times more painful to Germans. The Germans have destroyed for Europe the last great harvest of civilization that Europe was ever to reap, the Renaissance. Is it understood at last? Will it ever be understood what the Renaissance was? The transvaluation of Christian values. An attempt, with all available means, all instincts, and all the resources of genius, to bring about a triumph of the opposite values, the more noble values. This has been the one great war of the past. There has never been a more critical question than that of the Renaissance. It is my question too. There has never been a form of attack more fundamental, more direct, or more violently delivered by a whole front upon the center of the enemy. To attack at the critical place, at the very seat of Christianity, and there enthrone the more noble values, that is to say, to insinuate them into the instincts, into the most fundamental needs and appetites of those sitting there. I see before me the possibility of a perfectly heavenly enchantment and spectacle. It seems to me to scintillate with all the vibrations of a fine and delicate beauty. And within it, there is an art so divine, so infernally divine, that one might search in vain for thousands of years for another such possibility. I see a spectacle so rich in significance, and at the same time so wonderfully full of paradox, that it should arouse all the gods on Olympus to immortal laughter. Caesar Borgia as Pope. Am I understood? Well then, that would have been the sort of triumph that I alone am longing for today. By it, Christianity would have been swept away. What happened? A German monk, Luther, came to Rome. This monk, with all the vengeful instincts of an unsuccessful priest in him, raised a rebellion against the Renaissance in Rome. Instead of grasping with profound thanksgiving the miracle that had taken place, the conquest of Christianity at its capital. Instead of this, his hatred was stimulated by the spectacle. A religious man thinks only of himself. Luther saw only the depravity of the papacy at the very moment when the opposite was becoming apparent. The old corruption, the peccatum originale, Christianity itself no longer occupied the papal chair. Instead, there was life. Instead, there was the triumph of life. Instead, there was a great ye to all lofty, beautiful, and daring things. And Luther restored the church. He attacked it. The Renaissance, an event without meaning, a great futility. Ah, these Germans, what they have not cost us. Futility, that has always been the work of the Germans. The Reformation, Leibniz, Kant, and so-called German philosophy, the war of liberation, the empire, every time a futile substitute for something that once existed, for something irrecoverable. These Germans, I confess, are my enemies. I despise all their uncleanliness in concept and valuation, their cowardice before every honest yea and nay. For nearly 1,000 years they have tangled and confused everything their fingers have touched. They have under conscience all the halfway measures, all the 3/8 weight measures that Europe is sick of. They also have under conscience the uncleanest variety of Christianity that exists, and the most incurable and indestructible Protestantism. If mankind never manages to get rid of Christianity, the Germans will be to blame. And section 61 of The Antichrist by Friedrich Nietzsche.